Tonight, communications with the Artemis astronauts go dark as they take a spin around the far side of the moon.
Something I've never seen in photographs before, but is very apparent, all the really bright new craters.
Next up, the farthest return home anyone's ever done. With the price of oil sky high, airlines in Canada plan new charges.
I understand, but it's going to make it really difficult for a lot of people to travel.
Buckle up, the cost might really take off. As food prices soar, grocers are dealing with a spike in theft.
The guy stole a basket of meat, and we caught him selling it in the hotel parking lot.
Why police say conditions are ripe for organized crime.
From CBC News, this is The National with Asha Tomlinson.
Thanks for joining us. Adrian is away. Hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from planet Earth, tonight, the crew of the Artemis II mission has accomplished an incredible feat, successfully approaching the moon, then slingshotting around it. Along the way, they made all kinds of observations, took photos, and of course, made history. Just let this settle in. They've now traveled farther from Earth than anyone has ever done. Their awe on board, shared with those here on Earth, was apparent as they talked back and forth with NASA for most of that journey. Much of it was about what the moon looked like up close. But as Karen Paul shows us, one very human conversation brought the crew to tears.
They've done it. The Artemis II crew slingshotted around the moon, lost all communication with Earth, and then came out the other side.
Houston, integrity, comm check.
Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Along the way, 3 Americans and Canadian Jeremy Hansen went farther into space than anyone before, surpassing the distance record set by Apollo 13 way back in 1970.
Today, for all humanity, you're pushing beyond that frontier.
We choose this moment to challenge this generation and the next to make sure this record is not long-lived.
That's when the crew made an emotional request to name a new crater spotted on the moon after a part of their astronaut family no longer with them.
So we lost a loved one. Her name was Carol, the spouse of Reed, the mother of Katie and Ellie.
Carol Taylor Wiseman died of cancer in 2020.
It's a bright spot on the moon. And we would like to call it Carol.
On board Orion, there were tears and hugs. This is the first time human eyes have seen parts of the far side of the moon.
Wow, yeah. I wish I had some more time to just sit here and describe what I'm seeing.
Something I've never seen in photographs before, but is very apparent, all the really bright new craters.
Views that were too dark or too difficult to see by the 24 Apollo astronauts who preceded them.
Aristarchus, the plateau is hard for me to see from this window, but that had green issues to me and was very unique. I didn't see anything like that anywhere else on this side of the moon.
Those direct human descriptions, a big deal for scientists. Colors can reveal mineral composition and even age.
The human eye can see differences in colors, certain nuance that we don't necessarily see with camera. It can better observe textures, as well as the 3D.
As expected, the moon blocked all signals when Orion disappeared behind it.
And so, as we prepare to go out of radio communication, we're still to feel your love from Earth. And to all of you, we love you from the moon.
It emerged to a glimpse of home, an Earthrise.
We will explore, we will build, we will drive rovers, we will found companies, we will bolster industry, but ultimately, we will always choose Earth. We will always choose each other.
The crew witnessed a rare solar eclipse from behind the moon, and they're now starting their journey back home. They're using the moon's gravity to swing the spacecraft back to Earth.
So a pretty intense day for everyone, some slightly quieter ones to come.
Yeah, they'll have to download all their images and observations on the way back home. They still have some deep space experiments and tests to do on Orion, and they're expected to splash down in the Pacific on Friday. Asha?
All right. Karen Paul's in Winnipeg, thanks. Let's turn to the war in the Middle East now. It's well into its 6th week, and the impacts of the effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz are being felt around the world. That includes the rising price of oil, hovering at $112 per barrel tonight, way up from its roughly $70 per barrel before the war began. Jet fuel prices are also soaring, pushing airlines to add new fees, along with warnings of potential cancellations. Aaron Collins now with what you need to know if you're planning to travel in the foreseeable future.
Sticker shock setting in at airports across Canada.
I understand, but it's going to make it really difficult for a lot of people to travel.
With ticket prices rising in tandem with the cost of jet fuel, WestJet, Air Canada, Porter, and Air Transat all charging fuel surcharges or extra fees on some bookings too. Moves receiving mixed reviews from Canadian passengers.
There's ways that they can find opportunities not to pass that on to Canadians who are already feeling pretty squeezed from every direction. That would be great.
They plan for prices in a context of a certain fuel price, and when the world changes, they have to change with it.
Those charges a way for Canadian airlines to shore up their bottom lines. Globally, a lack of jet fuel is already leading to fuel rationing and flight cancellations overseas, something Canadian airlines won't likely have to worry about.
So we're in good shape in Canada in terms of supply. We're going to pay the world price, well, that's why you see the surcharges and those fare increases in place, but at least we have supply.
Well, the pinch for airlines a result of the U.S.-led war with Iran. That conflict effectively closing the Strait of Hormuz, where about a fifth of the world's oil and gas passes through.
This new leverage over Hormuz, which has caused oil prices to go up with no end in sight, frankly. And this can persist for a long period of time because Iran can very cheaply threaten the Strait.
And as the war with Iran heads into its 6th week, the path to ending the conflict unclear. The U.S. president threatening to escalate attacks if the strait isn't reopened.
We can bomb the hell out of them, we can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist.
As the conflict with Iran drags on and the price of oil flirts with $110 U.S. per barrel, the turbulent times for air travel seem likely to persist even after the Strait of Hormuz reopens. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
Donald Trump is promising to strike all of Iran's bridges and power plants if no deal is reached by his Tuesday night deadline. Katie Simpson has more on Trump's warnings and new details on a successful search and rescue mission inside Iran.
The U.S. president insists this time he is serious about his Iran ultimatum.
The entire country could be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
Donald Trump says if there's not a deal by 8 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday, U.S. forces will target civilian infrastructure, warning it would only take about 4 hours to cause mass destruction.
Every bridge in Iran will be decimated. Every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition.
That message met by new words of defiance. A spokesman for the Revolutionary Guard says the baseless threats of the delusional U.S. president will have no effect on the continuation of the offensive. And at the United Nations, the rhetoric prompting calls for de-escalation.
Any attack on civilian infrastructure is a violation of international law, and a very clear one.
Despite the posturing, there are efforts to reach a diplomatic resolution. Iran has presented a new 10-point plan to end the war. And while the U.S. has rejected it, talks are ongoing.
Now, we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out.
With Trump's deadline looming, the U.S. is attempting to project strength and dominance, revealing new details about the high-stakes rescue of 2 American service members after Iran shot down their fighter jet.
This was an incredibly brave and courageous mission.
The pilot was rescued hours after the crash, but a second crew member remained missing. Satellite images show the rough terrain. The missing soldier fled, badly injured, managing to hide until he was rescued.
He scaled cliff faces, bleeding rather profusely, treated his own wounds, and contacted American forces to transmit his location.
The defense secretary comparing it to the resurrection of Jesus.
Flown out of Iran as the sun was rising on Easter Sunday. A pilot reborn, all home and accounted for, a nation rejoicing. God is good.
Trump may be firm in his deadline now, but he has extended it twice before. Both times he cited progress in negotiations.
And Katie, Iran is making new threats of its own.
Yeah, a military spokesman says if Trump does go after power plants and bridges and destroy civilian infrastructure, Iran says it will retaliate, quote, more crushingly and extensively.
That is Katie Simpson in Washington. Thank you. As Trump's ultimatum to make a deal ticks closer, attacks on Iran are unrelenting. As Sasha Petrusik tells us now, more Iranian military officials have been killed, and its biggest petrochemical plant has been hit.
At dawn, Israeli jets took off for targets in Iran. The country's biggest petrochemical facility was hit, part of the huge Pars gas field in the Persian Gulf. This is a severe blow to the Iranian regime, says Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz. We will continue striking their national infrastructure. Indeed, Donald Trump's threat to hit Iranian targets that are not strictly military has already begun, even before his Tuesday night deadline to reach a deal. He boasted of destroying Iran's biggest highway bridge last week. Now a strike on Tehran's Sharif Technical University, which Israel and the U.S. say does work benefiting Iran's missile program. The bombs hit our research building, says the university president. We do academic research. In another strike, Israel says it killed 2 senior intelligence officers in the Revolutionary Guards. It also destroyed several airports near Tehran used by the Iranian military.
Per the president's direction, today will be the largest volume of strikes since day one of this operation.
Iran promises to retaliate. Iran will use all its capabilities to make the enemy regret its actions, says a spokesman. A barrage of Iranian missiles targeted Haifa in northern Israel, hitting an apartment building and Boaz Shahar's neighbor.
He was buried under a concrete wall, about 7 feet on 3 feet wall, that collapsed on him.
Several people were severely injured, at least 4 killed here. Israel faces a steady increase in the number of attacks from Iran and its proxies. Arab Gulf states are also being hit daily, strikes that Iran says will only intensify. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Reuters is reporting that Iraq could restore crude oil exports to pre-war levels within a week if the Strait of Hormuz reopens. Iraqi energy officials say the country has seen a major drop in revenue as it has no alternative shipping route, and that oil production dropped by about 80% last month. The head of Iraq's state-run oil company says Iran has only verbally guaranteed that it would allow safe passage of Iraqi tankers through the strait. The top UN official in Cuba is warning of a widening humanitarian crisis as the fuel shortage there drags on, affecting all aspects of life.
Health, water and sanitation, food systems, education, transportation, telecommunications.
He said the United Nations is in talks with the U.S. to secure fuel supplies for humanitarian purposes. Since January, the U.S. has been threatening tariffs on any country that provides oil to Cuba, though it did allow one Russian delivery last week. An arson investigation is underway in Montreal after a downtown fire sent smoke right across the city.
Oh my God, bro!
The 2-story building was vacant, but the fire did force 2 families out of their homes. It took dozens of firefighters about 2 hours to put it out. In British Columbia, police are investigating a spike in grocery store thefts, especially targeting meat. As Yasmin Renea shows us, this may be linked to organized crime groups taking advantage of the continuing rise in prices.
Munther Zeed is used to people stealing meat from his grocery stores.
Oh, it's been going on forever. It keeps on growing. We had an incident about a week and a half ago at our Maryland location. A guy stole a basket of meat, and we caught him selling it in the hotel parking lot.
Police across the country say meat thefts are on the rise at both big corporate grocery stores and smaller independent shops. In Vancouver, there were 249 reported incidents from January to March of this year, up 35% from the same period last year. Mounties say the pattern and volume of thefts suggest potential organized activity, where the stolen meat is then resold.
Based on the analytics, it's possible that there's some element to that rather than just all opportunistic thefts.
It's prompted some stores to keep their meat section under lock and key.
We've had $50, $60 at a time stolen, $100 at a time stolen.
Meat prices have soared in the past year, so criminals can capitalize, says one criminologist.
Knowing that people will be looking for meat that is a little less expensive, so by stealing it and redistributing it, there's a wonderful opportunity for profit there for some criminals.
Zeed says the thefts hurt his bottom line, so much so he goes to potentially dangerous lengths to get the products back.
We do approach with baseball bats, I'm not going to lie. I mean, we have them all over the store. We approach it as a way to put a bit of fear in that person to basically drop and go, and 99% of the time it works.
Police say if you see someone stealing meat, don't confront them. Instead, tell store staff or call 911. And while many Canadians may be looking for ways to save money, police warn not to buy meat from unverified sources. It could be stored or handled improperly and make you sick. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Today's show host Savannah Guthrie was back on the job today after 2 months spent searching for her missing mother.
SG, come on out here. Come on back up!
Guthrie greeted fans and supporters after the NBC News broadcast, many no doubt drawn by her emotional ordeal. Nancy Guthrie was last seen in late January, and investigators believe she was taken against her will from her Arizona home. While their search continues, Savannah Guthrie briefly acknowledged her return to the show.
We are so glad you started your week with us, and it is good to be home.
Yes, it is good to have you back at home.
Well, here we go, ready or not.
Yeah.
Let's do the news.
Yes, so good to have you back. All right, there's a lot happening here on a Monday morning.
NBC said the bright yellow dress Guthrie wore was a tribute to the ribbons and the flowers left at her mother's home. Easy access to online sports betting has led to a giant spike in the number of people seeking professional help.
The increase that we've seen suggests that there are a lot of people who are gambling today who weren't before.
The push for new guardrails and why some say it won't be easy. Are influencers jeopardizing the future of cherry blossoms?
They start shaking tree branches or pulling them down.
How some are trying to mitigate the risk. And a seal's unlikely companions.
You would see him searching throughout the exhibit for, his other rubber duck.
We're back in 2.
Well, among the renovations done here at Tropicana Field, the playing surface, the turf itself.
The Tampa Bay Rays and their fans returning today to the rebuilt Tropicana Field for the first time in about 18 months. Hurricane Milton ripped the roof to shreds back in 2024, leading to water damage and mold. It took $60 million to plan and construct an improved facility, and the sellout crowd seemed glad to be back. Advance polls are now closed in 3 federal by-elections that could secure Mark Carney's Liberals a majority government. 2 ridings are in the Toronto area. Both are considered Liberal strongholds. The third, Terrebonne, is near Montreal, where the Liberal candidate previously won by just 1 vote over the Bloc Québécois candidate. That result was later nullified when it was discovered a mail-in ballot went uncounted. All 3 by-elections will take place next Monday. The former MP who led the charge to legalize single-event sports betting in Canada is taking issue with how it's gone nearly 5 years later. As Kate McKenna shows us, Brian Massey says the way it's been implemented is deplorable and the repercussions are sad.
I once had an 8-leg parlay, an octopus.
Nowadays, sports betting ads are unavoidable.
The team came out hot.
And the architect of the bill that lifted Canada's ban on single-event sports betting isn't happy with how it's going.
It's deplorable the way that some of the provinces have actually implemented it. I don't have regrets, but I mean, I definitely have, like I can tell you, is it just like it's sad to see some of the repercussions that we can still avoid them too. The story isn't done.
Former NDP MP Brian Massey pushed for decriminalization for 20 years, helping pass the bill that made it law.
I therefore declare the motion carried.
The Windsor MP wanted to support local casinos and argued that lifting the prohibition would curb illegal gambling.
It was really just to go to casinos and to special organizations or like charities, for example, or it would just stay with the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Commission. That's what I had recommended. But what they've done is they've launched it full throttle.
Soon after legalization, Ontario opened its market to private companies, helping launch what is now a multi-billion-dollar industry, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for Ontario.
But it is not the story that we were told. We were told that this was supposed to be a move of people already gambling on the black market and moving to the legal market. But the increase that we've seen suggests that there are a lot of people who are gambling today who weren't before.
A recent study found a jump of more than 300% in young men contacting Ontario's mental health helpline for gambling-related problems. The Canadian Gaming Association says it's already a highly regulated industry.
We've said, getting rid of advertising isn't going to solve problem gambling. If it had done that, it would have done that a long time ago.
The House of Commons is studying a bill that seeks to create national rules for sports gambling ads, sponsored by this Ontario senator.
Ordinary Canadians that reach out to me are desperate. How do we get this back in a little bit? How do we pull the reins in?
They say Canada made a bet on sports gambling, and right now too many Canadians are losing. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Betting on world events is also exploding in popularity, with millions of dollars changing hands each and every day.
They are designed to look like financial markets, and this is to create a sense of legitimacy.
From election outcomes to the weather and even wars, how prediction markets work and why they're controversial. The amped-up efforts at training troops in the most extreme conditions.
It's always a difficult and dangerous environment. It's more complicated. You have to be more careful.
How NATO's preparing to defend the Arctic. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world next. And with that, a White House Easter tradition got rolling. Farmers across the U.S. reportedly contributed more than 40,000 eggs. This year's activities were also dedicated to the country's 250th year of independence. Cherry blossom season is underway in and around Vancouver, a seasonal attraction that's now a victim of its own beauty. People in search of a picture-perfect selfie are damaging the trees. Caroline Bargout shows us what's being done to stop them.
It's cherry blossom season in British Columbia. Amid the crowds of people flocking to see them are those vying for the perfect pic. And there's no shortage of influencers online showing exactly how to get it. Oftentimes that includes breaking off branches or shaking the trees to make it snow.
The blooms last about 2
The organizer of Vancouver's Cherry Blossom Festival, which draws upwards of 60,000 people, says every 20 minutes she's had to tell someone to stop.
Mostly we see people just having fun and taking fun photos, but there are some people who want to get that amazing Instagram shot and they start shaking tree branches or pulling them down. And we want to really discourage that.
It's become such a problem, the city of Richmond has put up signs to encourage revelers not to harm the trees.
The wood is brittle and they break really easily, and people don't mean to do it, but when you pull a branch down it can snap and that can have detrimental impact on the tree.
Cherry blossom season lasts only a few weeks. That has led scores of people to rush to parks like this one to take photos before they're gone. The heavy traffic puts a tremendous amount of pressure on tree roots, says this horticulture expert.
You know, it can only take so much, and so this is going to shorten the life of the trees just because of that added stress. Now, if you add to that people pulling on the branches, if people are breaking branches, that can be a serious issue.
He says broken tree branches provide an opening for fungal and bacterial diseases where they otherwise would not be able to penetrate.
People has to be respectful of nature so everybody enjoys it.
If we want to keep them being beautiful every year, it's important to take care of it.
Experts say people get plant blindness and don't realize their actions are harming the trees. But with a little bit of education, they hope that will change. Caroline Bargout, CBC News, Vancouver.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Tonight, protecting Canada's borders and an emerging market brings new risks. Prediction markets like Polymarket are on the rise, with wagers placed on real-world events, including wars.
They are designed to look like financial markets.
Why critics say it's just another form of gambling. But first, NATO's urgent mission moving forces north for deterrence in a changing Arctic.
It's always a difficult and dangerous environment.
Plus, the expanding front lines in a warming climate. Murray Brewster takes us inside NATO's new Arctic Sentry initiative as allies look to secure a most exposed frontier.
Welcome to NATO's new cold front. Some of the most beautiful yet unforgiving landscape on the face of the Earth. A place allies are being called upon to defend with renewed vigor and a sense of urgency.
So the Russians, they're more capable, they're more organized than some of the traditional adversaries that we've faced over the last few years.
A new mission driven by security, but also politics and annexation threats.
You don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen.
To keep Trump's hands off Greenland and the U.S. in NATO, the alliance put together an initiative known as Arctic Sentry. Whether it's making a difference or sways his opinion about NATO is unclear.
I'll say it publicly, we're very disappointed with NATO because NATO has done absolutely nothing.
The initiative asks allies to train and be ready to fight in the harshest of conditions. Can they do it? And what are some of the challenges they face? We begin this peek behind the curtain in Iceland. A stark, mostly empty, deeply beautiful volcanic island that has, since the Second World War, been an important northern outpost. One that NATO nations take turns defending. This past winter, it was the Swedes. From this airbase, these Swedish jets cover an important stretch of ocean between the UK, Iceland, and Greenland, a critical gateway to the Atlantic and critical airspace that NATO wants guarded in case tensions with Russia increase.
The main threat here is Russian long-range bombers.
Lieutenant Colonel Johan Lagarde of the Swedish Air Force was recently in charge of patrolling the skies over Iceland and the vast swaths of ocean surrounding it. He tells us his squadron found it quieter in comparison to operations over the Baltic Sea, where they were scrambling fighters 2 and 3 times a day. Have you seen Russian air activity increase in this area?
No, not during our time here. And according to our intel guys, there are no increased Russian air activity in the area.
And yet, just getting airborne some days can be a challenge. The skies may be clear, but the day we were there, Swedish Gripen and Danish F-35 flights were canceled, not because the jets couldn't fly, but because Arctic seas were too rough for search and rescue operations if something went wrong. Norwegian Major General Frode Christoffersen is the deputy commander of NATO forces in the Arctic.
In the Arctic, it's quite hard to get situational awareness. Vast area with few sensors. So situational awareness in the Arctic is an objective. Russia sees the Arctic as key to their great power ambition. And in the Arctic, they have built up new bases and also modernized Soviet-era bases with deep seawater ports, with airfields.
In Iceland, it's surveillance. In northern Norway, it's training for Arctic warfare. Near the border with Russia, where the most important of those refurbished Cold War bases can be found, including Murmansk, home of Russia's largest nuclear submarine fleet. This is Bardufoss, a little slice of Norway above the Arctic Circle, another strategic choke point NATO troops could be called upon to defend on the ground. More than 30,000 Allied soldiers trained together recently in exercise Cold Response, learning the challenges of the modern battlefield. Canadian Lieutenant Colonel Robert Joie led a contingent of special forces training to operate behind enemy lines in the Arctic.
When you get down to some of the temperatures like we have in our Arctic, some of those technologies are very difficult to operate. And as an example, batteries just don't last as long. So something, a commercial off-the-shelf drone like you saw today might be able to operate for 30 minutes in kind of more humid weather or warm weather, but in the cold, that might drop down to under 10. From a Canadian perspective, our Arctic is completely different. It's much colder. There's a lot of additional challenges in our own Arctic, but we're learning a lot from our Norwegian partners.
The other major difference, Canada's Arctic territory is vast. Just getting anywhere is a challenge in a region covering nearly 4 million square kilometers, including 36,563 islands. A lot of territory to keep an eye on. And it's one of the reasons why the federal government recently chose to invest $35 billion in Arctic infrastructure, expanding old bases and building new ones. Canada's military operations commander is Lieutenant General Steve Boivin.
Based on that, we're planning towards a near persistent operational approach. I can't say that we're going to be there 12 months a year, but we will operate for as much as we can, as you said, 10 to 11 months a year of operations in the Arctic.
Another challenge, Canada's new submarines, vital for patrolling the Arctic. Whenever they're delivered, they will need to be specially outfitted to operate under the ice, says Vice Admiral Angus Topshee, the commander of the Navy.
The first thing you need to do is you need an upward-looking sonar to be able to see the ice, because the ice is a hazard to the submarine just as much as the bottom is.
So, just for the general public, why would you need to go under the ice?
To chase something, I suppose, that we didn't want to be there.
And then there is perhaps the greatest challenge to NATO's Arctic Sentry plan, climate change and how it is reshaping the landscape and the sea ice that ships and submarines will operate in. The Arctic is much less predictable, therefore much more dangerous. Is that, am I hearing you right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, well, it's always a difficult and dangerous environment because it's distant, it's not very well surveyed and everything else. So is it more dangerous? It's more complicated. You have to be more careful.
The Arctic is no longer a distant frontier. It's a front line. NATO and Canada are just beginning to catch up with the cost and how they could fight and survive at the top of the world.
Murray says a senior NATO commander told him that the alliance as a whole has a lot to learn from Canada, in part because it is one of the few nations operating in the Arctic on a daily basis. Coming up, the growing concerns about booming prediction markets, potential insider trading, and the risk of addiction.
I could quit right now, yes, but I'm just hoping to make my money back that I lost.
A first-hand account of the volatility and the potential damage done. Next.
In the past year, I've made about 200K.
The allure of big payouts drawing more people to booming prediction markets. Not commodities, but world events.
Prediction markets has a lot of structural similarities to gambling.
But high stakes bring potentially negative outcomes. Nora Young breaks down how prediction markets work and why some are calling for tighter rules.
You're looking at 3 of the world's latest tech billionaires, all of them under age 30.
The success we've had this year has opened a bit of a goldmine.
The vision was very much so to be on CNN and in the Wall Street Journal.
What made them so rich? Building platforms for people to bet on just about everything. From sports and entertainment.
And make sure to get your poly market predictions in.
To elections.
You already know I got to bet on my guy Trump.
the weather.
I bet $10 yesterday on the weather being 66 degrees in LA. I won $80.
And even war.
Someone just made $500,000 on Iran being bombed.
Prediction markets have exploded in popularity, in part thanks to big wins like this.
In the past year, I've made like about $200K.
But there's a flip side.
I lost around several $1,000s.
I would classify this as another form of a gambling product.
There are real concerns about addiction and real-world harms, and a crackdown may be coming. It's a head-spinning amount of money. The two major prediction markets, Kalshi and Polymarket, together processed $17 billion in daily trades in January alone. And major companies are getting in on it. The NHL, Pro Soccer, and Major League Baseball all have partnered with prediction markets. Even CNN is working with Kalshi.
What are we talking about in terms of the prediction market odds?
It all lends legitimacy to the idea that the wisdom of the crowd is a tool for accurate predictions about real-world events.
So you can buy yes or no positions on whether the market will something will happen or not.
Unlike using a gambling app or going to a casino, there's no house. You're trading with other users. Prediction markets make money off fees, so the higher the volume of trades, the more they make.
Kalshi is available nationwide and lets you live trade against others on anything, like sports,
Prediction markets don't call it gambling.
politics, alien sightings.
They call it trading event contracts. In Canada, these kinds of short-term yes-no binary options are mostly not allowed. In the US, they're regulated by the same federal body that regulates commodity futures. But critics say it's gambling. Putting money on sports, for instance, accounted for almost 90% of Kalshi's trade volume last year.
If it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So prediction markets has a lot of structural similarities to gambling that I would conceptualize this as another form of gambling activity.
Andrew Kim is a licensed clinical psychologist and an academic who researches addiction.
Especially if you're betting on sports, I don't know how much different it would be if I were to bet on, say, Polymarket or DraftKings.
Online gambling and sports betting are regulated by individual states and generally have rules to protect problem gamblers. To see how the experience of using a prediction market compares to gambling, CBC News reached out to numerous prediction market bettors, but none would speak on record, except one American user. We're not identifying him because, like others we reached out to, he placed bets on some contracts that are not approved in the US. But we felt it was important for you to hear a first-person account.
I first mainly started out with sports, NFL games, then I sort of gravitated towards politics. I bet on things like whether there would be a government shutdown, things like that. Polymarket at the time was banned in the US, but I was surprised how easy it is to access it. You can use a VPN.
He says he's ahead by thousands of dollars right now, but when he loses...
Whenever you have heavy loss on prediction markets, speaking personally, yes, it does get stressful. It's always weighing on your mind.
Do you think about quitting, especially after a loss?
I could quit right now, yes, but I'm just hoping to make my money back that I lost.
The thing is, the design of prediction markets, as with today's new finance apps, look like stats-driven financial markets, not an online casino.
They are designed to look like financial markets. And this is to create a sense of familiarity among people who come from trading apps like Robinhood, and also to create a sense of legitimacy. And when you go to prediction markets, you have all the apparatus that comes with finance that eliminates the stigma.
Whoa. But now, the US, Israel, and Iran war has ratcheted up concerns about prediction markets. What about your attack on Iran contract? How did that go?
I bet that the US wouldn't strike Iran on February 28th, and they ultimately did, so I ended up losing some money there.
How much money did you lose?
Around 2,000.
Users have speculated on war-related events, including the possibility of a nuclear detonation and when forces would strike Iran. Trading on political events, and especially war, raises the possibility of serious, real-world problems. There's been suspicion, for instance, that people with insider knowledge placed bets on both oil prices and military action. Both Kalshi and Polymarket now ban insider trading.
So it appears that a Polymarket account called MAGA My Man made $515,000 in a single day on the Iran strike. with the trade placed 71 minutes before the news broke publicly.
Here in Canada, a 2017 ruling prohibits short-term so-called binary options, the kind of yes-no contracts that prediction markets offer. But users can get around that with VPNs. And in late March, fintech company Wealthsimple became the second Canadian company to get approval to operate a limited prediction market, though contracts on elections, political events, unlawful activities, or contracts under 30 days aren't permitted. The thing is, prediction markets have been around for a long time, used as a kind of truth-seeking tool.
In principle, the idea of this prediction market is to aggregate information from many people by having people put their money where their mouth is. And this can, in some cases, actually work better than, say, public opinion polls and sort of extrapolate trends.
Werner Antweiler and his colleagues ran an experimental prediction market through UBC for over 20 years. But for him, there's a big difference between pure prediction markets and today's commercial prediction markets, where users can shift the market with a really big bet.
They could actually influence the prices and therefore the signal about the outcome of the event. And that could be used to sway potentially the outcome of an event. That opens up the door for influence peddling and manipulation.
Now, a crackdown may be imminent. In March, U.S. lawmakers introduced a bill to ban sports event contracts and casino-style games on prediction markets. And Arizona's Attorney General just filed criminal charges against Kalshi for operating an illegal gambling business. Prediction markets are responding to the pressure. Polymarket says it's cracking down on insider trading, and Kalshi announced beefed-up preemptive blocking of sports figures and politicians. So far, the U.S. federal regulator for commodity futures is standing behind its ability to regulate prediction markets. Both companies assert the value of prediction markets in providing truthful insights on important issues.
Oh my God, we're all screwed. This market is so positive that inflation's gonna go up 3% that we can't even hedge against it.
But in a world where you can bet on just about anything, not every truth matters.
There's a 70% chance Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift get married by June 30th? That's soon. I haven't heard about this wedding at all.
And a major victory in a New Jersey court today for one of the platforms Nora Young featured in her story. Kalshi will not have to block users from using the site to bet on sporting events. The company's CEO called it, quote, a big win for the industry. Here's another story we're working on. A major obstacle to Ottawa's plan for 4 million new homes by 2031. There aren't enough workers to build them. Here's a snippet of Nick Purdon's look at what's being done to solve it.
If I could be part of the solution, that would make me extremely proud. I would probably be the best person for the job.
There is not enough skilled trades professional in the pipeline to meet the demand of what we need in our economy.
Can we start taking some of these robots and bringing them to site? It's not about removing the human from this process. It's about working smarter.
One of the biggest issues facing the country is the housing shortage. That's why the federal government has promised 4 million new homes by the year 2031. But the question is, who's going to build them? There's a major shortage of construction workers, 250,000 of them set to retire in the coming years. So what can be done? How do you get more people into the trades?
You can watch Nick's full report tomorrow night, right here on The National. Coming up, a senior seal makes a new friend.
Reggae in particular loves playing with the ducks.
Their adorable bond next in our moment. So this is Reggae, an Atlantic harbor seal at the New England Aquarium in Boston, holding on to a good friend of his, a rubber ducky. The toy was originally used for training exercises, but now Reggae has become quite popular for his affection towards it. So their blossoming friendship makes our moment.
Reggae has an affinity for larger rubber ducks. He rolls over onto his belly and we can place the duck on his belly, and he has a grab behavior, so he'll hold them with his flippers just like a little kid would in the bathtub. We offer enrichment to our animals in a variety of forms. We put these objects out on the exhibit. The animals have the option to engage with them or not. Reggae in particular loves playing with the ducks. Might be dunking them underwater, pushing them around with his nose. We use them in training sessions, and so oftentimes we can ask him to put his flipper out and hold on to one. You would see him searching throughout the exhibit for, his other rubber duck. He's become quite popular. Rubber ducks have a strong connection with humans. We've all played with them as kids. There's that initial awe factor, just really brought about a different set of emotions in people. We want people to care not only about reggae, but about harbor seals, about the ocean. It's a really great way to help people understand how smart these animals are.
So cute. So there are 5 Atlantic seals at this aquarium. One other seal enjoys playing with the rubber ducks, but not as much as Reggae does. And given his name, I think it's appropriate to say he has one love for 2 ducks. Gonna leave it there. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. I'm Asha Tomlinson. Take care.